Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another live stream. It's Thursday again, can't believe it. So, today's live stream, we are looking at task 2, like we do every Thursday. I have another task 2 question for you. I'll show it to you. We'll work through writing an answer together, and mainly, I'll be giving you feedback on your writing. So that's the main reason we're here, is for me to look at your writing, give you feedback, point out your mistakes so that you know what areas you need to improve to get a higher IELTS writing score. So that's the main focus. If you're new, let me just share some lessons with you first. So these are lessons that I've made to show you exactly how to write a task 2 essay. And everything you need to know is there. If you've already joined me, you've likely completed those already. You've probably heard me say this 100 times already. But those lessons, for anyone who's new, will really help you to understand what you need to do to write a task 2 essay. So if you're participating in today's lesson and you're making mistakes because you don't know why, it would make sense to complete those lessons. If you've already completed them, you'll come here and undoubtedly you will still make some mistakes. So we can just fine tune what you're doing wrong, help you understand how to improve further. Hi Ayush, good to see you here again. And Facebook user, hello to you. Glenda's back. Good to see you here, Glenda. Ina, good to hear. Good. Sushma, good evening to you. Oh, we have a lot of people here. Great. Soru, good to see you here as well. And Jewel, Maha, great. Lots of familiar faces here again today. Ori Jose and Zaharan. Good evening to you. Okay. So we're ready to get started. As always, I want you to start with the paraphrase. So in the paraphrase, you take the question statement, rewrite it in your own words. Just before I show you the question, pretty much every week you're making this, specifically you, everybody, making a very similar mistake with the word some and with the word many. Some, many, they don't have the same meaning. Just if you don't know how to paraphrase it, copy the word from the question. I normally tell you this afterwards. I prefer to let you make your own mistakes, but it's just so consistent every week. So I just wanted to point that out first. So take a look at the question here. Write the paraphrase. Put your paraphrase in the comments and share it with me, and I will have feedback for you on how to improve. Sashintha, welcome to the lesson. Your first time here, I believe. Hey, Maravik and Ume, hello to you. Rupinder is here. Hello from India. Good to see you here, Rupinder. Welcome to the lesson. Okay, so Awen, Hello, I'm new here. Welcome to the lesson, Owen. Can you tell me your program? And I didn't do IELTS before. I want to do it soon. How can you help me from your life? So I just explained at the start of the lesson. What you want to do first is complete all the lessons that I've linked here to understand how to complete a task 2, how to write a task 2 essay. And with that understanding, you'll know these terms like write the paraphrase. That's probably something that you don't understand. You may never have heard before. And really, if you're new to IELTS, there's no reason why you would have heard that before. But you essentially take the question statement. Let me just highlight it for you here. This part. You take this part of the question and you rewrite it in your own words. So that's what I'm asking you to do. So get involved in today's lesson. I'll be able to point out some mistakes to help you improve, but do make sure to complete those lessons that I shared with you, just so you have a more full understanding of how to approach a task 2 question and how to respond appropriately. Hey, Sandy, good to see you here again. Okay, so Glenda has just shared her paraphrase with me. I'm going to start giving feedback to Glenda. If you have not finished your paraphrase, just continue and share it in the comments when you are ready. So, Glenda, certain individuals, that the word certain means like the specific, we have specific people in mind. So it would be more specific than just saying some people. Some people is a more general group of people. Certain individuals is fine, think that studying history gives no benefit as part of a child's learning. Learning and education. So you learn, part of your education is learning things, but they're not direct synonyms. While others say it is crucial, it is as crucial as any other subject. Good. Yep. So it's actually quite clear. You've made those few mistakes that I pointed out, but it's you have the same meaning as the original question statement. That's the most important thing, and I can understand what you're saying, which is obviously very important. So just those few mistakes that I mentioned, and besides that, that's an effective paraphrase. Ayush, several isn't the same, and this is what I was referring to at the beginning. Is everyone's afraid to use the word some, but really, some doesn't really have many direct synonyms, and the word several does not have the same meaning. The word certain does not have the same meaning. So in most cases, you're better just to copy the word some from the question. So besides that, let's say some individuals are of the opinion that studying history has no advantages in a child's education, while others argue that it is as important as any other subject. As important as any other subject. Yep, that's good. So what we want to avoid, and in fact, Glenda had the exact same thing. The last 4 words, as any other subject. And again, Ayush, as any other subject. So if first and foremost, communication is the most important thing. So if you didn't have a way to paraphrase it and you copied what was in the question, that's a much better option than not clearly communicating. But we want to avoid like taking chunks like that of 3 or 4 words long. We want to avoid that if possible. So you could have potentially said, as important as the other subjects. Just a small little tweak like that would have helped. But having said that, this is a good paraphrase as well. And Sandy, great to see you here again, Sandy. There are those who claim that learning about history has no benefit for children's education. Good. Whereas others maintain that the subject is necessary for them to learn as much as other subjects. So it's not about how much they learn, it's how important it is. So that last bit, you haven't paraphrased successfully. So up until is necessary for them to learn. Yeah, so you're just saying that they're equal in importance, not the quantity of what's being learned. Hey, Kamal, good to see you here. There are some people who think that studying history is unnecessary for a child's education. However, some consider this subject as important as other subjects. Yep. So besides the same thing that I said to Ayush and Glenda, that's a good paraphrase. Very accurate. Very, very good level of accuracy as well, Kamal. Maha, few individuals. So it would have to be a few individuals to make that grammatically correct, but also a few and some does not have the same meaning. So again, like I was saying earlier, almost everyone paraphrases the word some people or the phrase some people incorrectly. Just copy that. What Sandy has done is okay. There are those who claim. So we're just saying there are people. That's perfect. So a few individuals think that studying history provides zero benefits as part of a pupil's education. Zero benefits would be fine for speaking, but that's quite informal for a task 2 essay. It's expected to be an academic style essay. Whereas others would say that it is vital, it is as vital as any other curriculum. Curriculum and subject, they're very closely linked. They're not the same. They're not the exact same meaning. So that won't work. Hey, Dominic. Good to see you here again. And Ranjana, I haven't met you in a long time. Ranjana used to come to my live feedback lessons, my free group lessons on Zoom all the time, but Ranjana has not been around for a while. So good to see you, Ranjana. So the paraphrase. Some think that history studies has no advantage in the education of children, whereas others claim that it is necessary. It is, so you're missing the article. It is a necessary subject like the others. So two article mistakes at the end, but that is a good paraphrase besides that. Sushma, inculcating history is okay. So you need to just use vocab you can use. Don't worry about less common words like that. Inculcating history as one of the subjects in a curriculum is beneficial for a few people. So the question doesn't say that you need the article before few, so a few people, although others believe that it's, again, another article mistake, a waste of time. So article mistakes are prevalent, and don't worry so much on using vocab that you think is impressive. Focus more on communication. So more common vocabulary will help you communicate more clearly, and you need to work on articles. Rupinder, it is argued by a few people, again, a few and some isn't the same. So it is argued by a few people that knowledge about history doesn't have many benefits, while opponents reckoned history is also as important as the other subjects. So some grammar mistakes there. The word reckoned doesn't work in this context, and reckon is too informal as well. So you cannot use that in the essay. Even it's been used inaccurately, but it's also the incorrect tone. Okay, Ore Jose. Certain individuals accept that learning history has no advantage in a child's education, while others say it's as important as any other subject. Good. This is all accurate. And again, just that last little bit at the end, as any other subject, like I said, first and foremost, clear communication, and you've done that. But you could improve this slightly by paraphrasing those last four words. Soru, some individuals think, that subject-verb agreement. So should be think, not thinks. Some individuals think studying history is as now beneficial, not benefit. So it needs to be the adjective, not the noun. Is as beneficial. Yeah, the adjective. Benefit is a noun. You need the adjective version. is as beneficial as other subjects for a child's knowledge. So an article mistake there as well. So mainly grammar, but the communication is clear and you have included everything that you need to include. All the information is there and done quite succinctly as well. While others don't find it to be as important. So again, subject-verb agreement again, while others don't find it. And then much doesn't work with important. So much is for don't find it to be as important. So again, it's the comparative structure. Ina. Some individuals claim that concerning child's, so you need the article, concerning a child's education, studying history has no beneficial effect, whereas other people maintain it's as indispensable as any other subject. Yep, good. So that's just that one mistake I pointed out. Everything else is accurate. And Dominic. Some individuals deem that research history, no. So researching history wouldn't be the same as studying history. So those aren't the same. Provides no advantage in a child's education. Can we use training instead of education? No, training and education aren't the same. Whereas others assume that it is crucial, it is as crucial as any the aspects. No. So again, in this case, you'd have been better copying from the question instead of paraphrasing that bit. So this last bit is inaccurate and actually unclear, whereas the rest of it is clear. Besides the mistakes I pointed out, it is still clear what you're referring to. Sandy, there are those who claim that learning about history has no benefit for children's education, whereas others maintain that history education is equally important to other subjects. No, is equally important to. That collocation doesn't work there. No, that the two is inaccurate there. Salik, welcome to the lesson. Can you organize for me a self-study plan? To be honest, I desperately need it. I definitely would be happy if you could offer me your hand in this matter. Okay, I don't want to get off topic with the lesson, but there's probably this link that will help you. I've just pasted a link for you called How to Study at Home. Take a look at that, Salik. Hey, Jennifer. Good to see you here. Okay, so I understand you want me to look, but I think they're just, with the number of students here, I've already explained your mistakes. So I'm not going to look at a second version of your paraphrase, just so that I can give everyone feedback and move on to the next part of the lesson. So, you know, if you made a mistake and you correct it based on my feedback, that doesn't really show that you can do it by yourself. So my feedback is to show you what areas you need to improve on. So fixing the mistake based on my feedback doesn't really indicate that you will be able to do it alone. So if I've pointed out articles are a mistake and you correct that mistake based on my feedback, that doesn't mean you'll be able to use articles correctly next time. So I'm just explaining, I'm not ignoring you, Sushma. I want to make sure everyone gets feedback and we move on. Kulwant. So capital letter for I, you need to leave space after the comma before whereas. So punctuation mistakes there. Before I even read it, those really jump out at me. It is believed by some individuals that studying history does not help children if it is included in their syllabus, whereas others think it is as important as other subjects. Yep. So as important as other subjects. So it's just that, oh no, as any other. Yep. Do you know what? That's fine. That's good. Okay. So Sandy, just the same as I was saying to Sushma, I think if everybody gets one round and then we move forward, I think is a better approach than giving some people multiple feedback on the paraphrase and then other people just one. And obviously some people none, depending on whether they participated or not. Okay, so next thing, can you tell me how many main ideas do we need for this question? How many main ideas do we need? Sandy's in, Ian is in. Good. 3. 3 is correct. So it's discuss both views and give your own opinion. Discuss the first view, we need one idea. Discuss the second view, we need another idea. Discuss our opinion, we need a third idea. But the way that we organize this is that our opinion is going to be siding with one of the views. So essentially we have two views and our opinion is going to be I agree with the first group or I agree with the second group. So when we're generating ideas, essentially what we want to do is just think of ideas for the two views, and then we'll be able to use one of those as our own. So your next task is, what main ideas can we use for this question? I went just to give you feedback, and again, you'll see the lesson, the videos I shared at the start of the lesson here. They explain how I want you to answer task 2 essays to make it as easy as possible to get a high score. And with yours, if you agree with both people, it's more difficult to have a clear and consistent opinion in your answer. So I would advise not to do that. And don't ask questions in your essay. It's not academic to ask the reader a question, like a rhetorical question like that. So Dominic and Saru, I can see that you got 3 ideas as well, so that's perfect. Kulwant is right with a little explanation. Good. Origase, correct. Kamal, correct. Maravik, correct. Great. I think that's since I started these live streams, I believe that is the first time that everybody has got that correct. So great. Well done. Arif, there is a belief. So belief is a noun, is spelt with an F. There is a belief. The first letter T needs to be capital. By some people that studying history has no benefit, while others believe, so it's not in the past, it's present, no D. Believe it's IT apostrophe S. It's important, just like any subject, full stop. So punctuation mistakes are the most obvious mistakes that you're making there at the moment. So be careful with that, Arif. Kulwant. Okay, so we've gone into the ideas already. Good, that was fast. Idea 1, studying history will enable the learners to study about their past culture. So yes, learn about their cultures. Good. Okay, Selik, good. Thanks for the praise. Zelathina, certain individuals. So again, we had this word certain earlier on. That does not mean the same thing as some. Certain individuals think that history education is useless at preschool. Does it say preschool? What does it say? For a child's education. So we would also refer to teenagers as children. So it wouldn't necessarily be preschool. It wouldn't necessarily, it could be primary school, secondary school. I'm not sure. I don't know what the situation is with preschools in every country, but I'm not aware of history being taught in any preschool. So it's more likely we're talking about primary and secondary schools. Ayush, this is too vague. This is too vague. No practical use. So hone in more specifically on what. No practical use for what. So try and narrow that down. So are you talking about, in your day-to-day life? Are you talking about getting jobs, or what specifically do you mean? Where would this apply to? History enables us to know about culture, tradition, and heritage. Now, this is fine, but I wouldn't put down those three. Culture is fine, tradition is fine, and heritage is fine. But are they three different things, and are you going to develop them separately, Rupinder, or are they the same thing? And if they're the same thing, why are you saying it three times? So, if your main idea has the word "and," then it's you're either repeating yourself or yeah. So I would just go with one of those, and they're so similar. So we said earlier on, you've got to develop the view and you've got to develop your opinion. So let's say you're saying, I agree that history should be studied. You couldn't use culture for the view and then like tradition or heritage for your own opinion because they're too close. It would be, it'd be almost impossible to have completely different um, explanations and examples when you go to develop it. So I realize you're just saying that as one idea, but I would encourage you to just go with one of those words instead of all three. Kulwant opposing idea would be modern time requires more technological knowledge than studying about past events. So why not study both, Kulwant? So this isn't it's actually not relevant. You can change it to make it relevant. So if you said technological knowledge is more important, why why does that mean? I mean, obviously some subjects will be more important than others, but does that mean that we shouldn't study the less important ones? And if so, why? So you need to dig a bit deeper into this one. Modern times require more technological knowledge than studying about past events. That doesn't say why we should or shouldn't study history, so that's not relevant at the moment. Kamal, there are some people who think that studying history is unnecessary for a child's education. Okay, so this is the paraphrase again. We looked at your paraphrase already, Kamal. Because they come to know about their country more. Okay, so they get to learn about their own countries. However, I think that studying history. So, okay, because they come to know about their country more. Okay, so that's the one main idea. However, I think that studying history has subject verb agreement there. It has no relation in their current life. So like I was saying to Ayush earlier on, you need to be more specific. Like how does it have no relation to current life? So be more specific with that. But also remember, you need one main idea to support the first view, one main idea to support the second view, and one main idea to support your view. So we need those three main ideas. But in this, you've just given two. So you need more than that. Ayush, second view. Knowing history connects you better with your country and culture. Yes. Like I was saying earlier on, however, to Rupinder, just go with one. So just say country or culture. I think it would be the exact same idea anyway. But, just to make sure that it's less complicated when you go to develop it, just have one, just say one thing rather than two. Because if the examiner thinks country and culture are completely separate, are you going to develop them separately? Or if they're not separate, why are you repeating yourself? So that's kind of what I would have to say about that. So the idea is fine, but just mention one. 2. It represents identity, and through history, cultural values can be passed to new generations. Good. Oh, no, wait. Identity, yes. Cultural values, yes. Okay, so that's two ideas. One of those would be for the view, and one of those would be for your opinion. If this is one main idea, then that's a problem, because identity is one thing, and then passing cultural values is a different thing. So if you're saying this is two ideas, that's fine. If you're saying this is one idea, that's not okay, because potentially you didn't recognize that you had two ideas. So depending on what you thought when you posted that, it may or may not be an issue. Kulwant, my opinion, history should not be part of the education of children because it will be a complete waste of precious time, which can be better spent on learning practical skills. Okay, that is a few things there. Don't explain your main idea in the introduction. So you just want to say it would be better to learn to learn practical skills, or it would be better to use that time for practical skills. And a waste of waste. That's okay actually. Yep. Sandy, one of the major reasons for opponents of history education for children, is that other subjects are more urgent to keep up with the world. Good. That's appropriate. Good job. Rupinder, on the other side, history might not be as much benefit, you need the noun, as much benefit as other subjects, plural, such as science, finance, and language, which offers more opportunity. That's too vague. So I can guess what opportunities you're referring to, but I shouldn't have to. You should tell me what opportunity you're referring to. So it's a vague idea. And as with all vague ideas, just consider specifically what opportunities are you thinking about, and that would be appropriate. Kamal, I figured that out. Yep, thanks for sharing. Zelathina, history is too boring for a child's education. That is why not being discussed at their younger age. The word discussed doesn't make sense here, but the idea is appropriate. The main reason for supporters saying that teaching history is as crucial as other subjects is that history education provides children with a higher level of insight into their lives. Say that's a bit vague as well. A higher level of insight into their lives. What type of insight are they getting? Into their own lives? That's too vague. So you need to be more specific than that. Glenda, I believe that studying history is as essential as any other subject. To begin with, it gives information about events of the past. So this is a description of what studying history is. It's not a reason why we should or shouldn't study it. I could say that about any subject. I could say, like, studying English is about learning the English language. That doesn't really say whether you should or shouldn't, or whether it should or shouldn't be studied. That's a description of what it is. So be careful with that. In addition, it helps people to appreciate culture. So there's another idea. But you can't list ideas as an explanation. Your explanation should say the how or the why. It helps people to appreciate culture. However, technological subjects have more impact in the modern world than history. So I'm not clear why you're saying that. There's the more impact. Does that mean we should or shouldn't study it? So that's not clear, Glenda. So you just need to analyze your questions more carefully. Okay, where am I now? Or Jose. Learning history as children will help give a better understanding about the past. So learning history as children is not accurate. So children learning history is what you're trying to say. Children learning history will help give a better understanding, will help them gain a better understanding about the past, which can be adopted in solving future problems. So just vocab mistakes there. Mainly vocab mistakes for you to work on. Hi, Liza. Good to see you here. Soru. History helps to learn about cultures and historical events. Okay, so there's two benefits. However, remembering different events and dates can be a waste of time. So another article mistake there. So history helps learn. So again, learn about cultures and historical events. So that is what they're learning. But why do we need to learn those things? Is the thing. So we're saying we should study history, but we should study history because of what we learn. Well, I could say that about anything. We should study math because we learn math. We learn about numbers. We should, study English because we learn vocab and grammar. We should study, so you don't want to describe what you will learn. It's the benefit of learning it. So you need to focus more on, the outcome. However, remembering events and dates can be a waste of time. So you're saying that studying history is a waste of time. And I think that's like several students had already. You need to say more specifically than that. Like if you could say why it's a waste of time, that would make it more specific and make it a stronger idea. Okay, Sashintha. Many people believe knowing the history of their ancestors is not offer any blessing to the children's life. So you're trying too hard to use less common vocabulary. So that's not helping with the communication. It's a little bit unclear. Now I know what the question is about, so I can guess what you mean. But in all, this isn't very clear because of the vocab mistakes. While others ensure education of history is mandatory. So again, nobody's trying to ensure that it's mandatory. Some people are just saying we should. Some people are saying we shouldn't. So I think it's mainly your attempts to use less common vocab are creating communication problems here. Ina. Studying history offers no benefit for children's education because they find it boring. Now, what I would worry about that is, are we going to say kids shouldn't study anything they find boring? I think just in general, some students will find all subjects will be boring to some students. So, like if you're talking to a kid who finds reading and writing boring, I don't think that would be a valid reason for saying they shouldn't study it. So it's more about the benefit of studying it, or the disadvantage of studying it is more going to be what supports why we should or shouldn't do it. So it being boring wouldn't be appropriate. Studying history enables children to develop better understanding of the world. That it depends how you develop that, but at the moment I would be worried that this is too vague, and when you try to develop it, you will end up listing the things that they will learn. So I'm quite confident that that idea is too vague. Now, you might be able to explain it in a way that you're not listing other ideas, that you're explaining how or why this happens, but it's most likely that your explanation will become a list of main ideas, of specific main ideas, a list of specific ideas. So I think number 2 is too vague. My own view is that learning history allows children to observe and understand how people and societies behaved in the past. So again, that's the topic. That's what they will learn, but not necessarily why it's a good idea to learn that. So you don't, when you're saying why it's a benefit to, and this isn't just you, Ina, quite a few students have done this. You don't want to explain what history is. You want to explain why we should study history. So not what things do you learn, but like some people are saying is, it will help you better understand your own culture. It'll help you better understand your own background. So we can see how that's a benefit. But just saying you will learn about things from your country, that's not a benefit. That's what you learn. So just be careful. Just be careful with that as well. Dominic, we study history for applying in our own perception only. I'm not sure what that means, Dominic. Just the vocab here is a bit unclear. However, the other parts may apply to the specific fields in life. That's too vague. Number 2, studying history may help students at least gain understanding about the feats that their country has ever undergone. Hence, they may share with others in different countries. So I think this is too long. Try to narrow it down to just a few words. In general, your main idea can be, it's rare that a main idea would be more than 6 or 7 words. So if it takes you that long, if it takes you that many words to say what your main idea is, you might not be 100% clear on what it is yourself. So see, like, just try to keep a main idea within, let's say, 6 words. That's a general rule. That's like a main idea could never be 8 words. That's not what I'm saying. But it shouldn't take a full sentence to say your main idea. Arif, studying history is important for a child's education because it helps them to understand and justify their presence. Presence where? That's not clear. Being a Bangladeshi citizen, I came to know that our elders fought a war for the Bangla language, and this subject helps me to know a lot about these properly. So it's not just what you learn. So I'm going to put words in your mouth. I don't know if this is what you're saying, but the benefit of studying history is that you gain a sense of pride in your ancestors, or you get to appreciate what your ancestors have done for you. You become humbled by, the benefits that you have for the sacrifices that your ancestors gave. That type of thing is what you're trying to say. So it's not specifically the things that you learned, it's how that affects you and the advantages of that. So that, I think we need to focus more on that side of things. Sandy, history education encourages children to feel proud of themselves as a citizen. Well, I got there just before you. Yeah, exactly what I just said. Good. Yeah. I realize you wrote that before I said it because your comment is way older than what I just said. But yes, exactly. Learning history is necessary because develop better understanding, because it helps us to develop a better understanding of our country in which we live. And again, so I think, Big B, you and a lot of students are just explaining what you learn, not explaining the benefits of learning those things. So quite a common mistake that we're seeing here. Ari Jose, on the other hand, history is found to be quite difficult for children to assimilate. Oftentimes, it is not as fun as other courses like drawing and painting, and children get to sleep during history. And children get to sleep during history class? Children want to sleep during history class? So I said this to Ina already. It's not that kids should only study fun subjects. So are we going to just let kids study drawing and painting for their whole education? So no, that wouldn't apply. Hi, Kelsum. Good to see you here. Sandy, from my point of view, history education is as critical as other subjects due to the need to train them to grow up as patriotic citizens. Good. Just them doesn't clearly refer to anybody. So inaccurate use of the pronoun, but everything else is good. Calcium, how to improve your writing skills is understand what mistakes you're making. This is exactly why I have these lessons. So for you, your problem might be grammar, but for another student, the problem might be vocab. So it's not everybody has to do the same thing. It's find out what you're doing wrong. Are you having problems with, spelling, vocab, grammar, idea generation? Are you having problems with developing your ideas? So is it your task achievement, your coherence and cohesion, your vocab, your grammar? So identifying what your specific problems are and addressing those, that's essentially what you need to do. Maha, in the introduction, if we are not stating the reason of my answer, is it too vague? Because I will give the reason for my answer in the body paragraph. It's better to put the reason in the introduction because that ties everything together. So, part of your coherence and cohesion score is, connecting the sentences from one to the next, making logical progression from, saying your idea, explaining it, and moving forward. So, that logical progression. So it's connecting your ideas, connecting your sentences together, organizing your essay into paragraphs, but also having some kind of a connection between each paragraph. So by putting your main ideas in the introduction, you're linking all of your paragraphs back to the introduction. They're all connected together. And it's also typical of academic English that we indicate to the reader what they're getting involved in, what they're about to read. So it's like it's an old system to save time. So if I'm an academic and I go to a library, I want to see, which book do I want to read. So you're going to find the topic. But then when you open up an essay, you don't want to read, a 5,000 word essay to see if it has the information you want. So it's organized so that I can read the first paragraph. I can understand what the essay is about. Does it have the information I need? If not, I go look for another book or I look for another essay. And similarly, in the body paragraphs, when we have the topic sentence, we're just again saying what the paragraph is about. So you can imagine before the internet, before we could just search and find what we wanted very easily, we'd first find the book, then check if the essay is what we want. If it is, then we'll check if the paragraph is what we want. So it's just a time-saving technique that the writer will write in a way that helps the reader to find the information as quickly as they can. So, short answer to your question: do put the main ideas in your introduction. As I should only give answer in the introduction. So I'm pretty sure I answered the question. Ask again if I didn't. Maravik, studying history for every student is good for them to learn the benefits of the culture. Too vague, Maravik. What benefits? What benefits of the culture? So if you could narrow down one specific benefit, that would be specific. So at the moment it's relevant, but it's not specific. Glenda, am I not allowed to discuss 2 points in the same paragraph? So again, Glenda, it seems the lessons that I shared with you at the start of this live stream go through all of that. For a good task achievement score, you need to fully develop your ideas. But there are cases where you're asked specifically to include more than 2 ideas, or more than sometimes you need 3, like what we've looked at here. Sometimes you'll need 4. So the more ideas you need, you just can't have as much development as if there are 2 ideas. So, the examiner will take that into account. But it's better to go with fewer ideas so that you can develop your answers fully. Hey, Princess, good to see you here. Different people have different opinions regarding learning history as a part of a student study. Some feel it has numerous benefits, whereas others do not support this idea. They argue, so punctuation mistake there, or just say support this idea because they argue that other subjects such as math, science, and English have more benefits. So punctuation is something that you could work on, Princess, but that's all very clear. Arif, there is a con. When we use con like that, it would mean convict. We don't use, we talk about pros and cons, but we rarely would use the word con outside of that phrase, like there are pros and cons. So there is a con believed by some people that studying history has no future. So that's not clear. What has no future? And it's a waste of time. So to say something has no future means it's not going to continue. So that's what some people think, that we shouldn't study it. But I don't think that's what you're getting at. I think that's just inaccurate vocabulary there, Arif. And it's a waste of time. Why is it a waste of time? So that's too vague. While taking masters in that degree can give any high-paid government job. So doing a master's in history can give you any high-paid government job. That seems unlikely that you would get any job. There might be some jobs, but I don't think a master's in history would give you absolutely any job. I don't think that's what you're trying to say. So just be a bit more careful with, are you being specific and are you being relevant? Okay. From my point of view, history education is as critical as other subjects due to the need to train children to grow up. Oh, yeah, okay, so we saw that already. Maha, sir, how would you write your main ideas for this question in the introduction? So are you asking about how to write an outline statement, or are you asking what would I do? Which do you mean? Big B. It is necessary to learn history because it helps us to become a well-informed person. Good. Yes. So that's the benefit. And see the difference there. So for a lot of students, you're saying what you learn. You learn about dates, you learn about events from the past, you learn about, the wars from your history, you learn about this. But it's not what you're learning that we need to explain. You don't need to explain to the examiner what history is. The examiner will know that. What the examiner wants to know is, why do some people think that we should not study it anymore? Or as Bigby has pointed out, why some people think we should continue to study it. You will become a well-informed person. So this is what we're looking for. Maha, what would I do? Okay, one moment, and I'll come back to that. I think we need to discuss this essay next week. I can do it in the Kamal comes to my live feedback lessons every week, and tomorrow we have our task 2 live feedback lesson. So if you're not already aware, those live feedback lessons are my free group classes that I conduct on Zoom, and they're for my subscribers. So let me just share the link with you here. You can sign up for that, and that link is also for my one-on-one feedback services as well. I'm now doing one-on-one writing and speaking. So if you're interested in getting more one-on-one support from me, those are now available. So with the free live feedback lessons, what we'll do, Kamal, is we'll do this question in tomorrow's live feedback lesson. So we can do that. We can look at it more closely together in that lesson tomorrow. For anyone who hasn't already subscribed, sign up with that link and you'll be able to join tomorrow's task 2 live feedback lesson as well. I have live feedback lessons on speaking, task 1 and task 2 every week. So get involved in those. And like I said, those feedback services are also available for anyone who needs more one-on-one support. If people have their own thought, that's very vague. People have their own thoughts. So that doesn't really communicate anything. It's a phrase that we have in English, but in this context, you're not really saying, I don't understand why you're saying it. There doesn't seem to be a clear purpose for giving me that information. So, but I believe history, that needs to be a small h. History should have been known by the child for their child education. So definite language errors here are if you're going to have to work on, I think, general English, both grammar and vocab. I would focus on both of those. And again, there are strategies that I've shared with you on YouTube and Facebook about how to do that. So just follow those strategies. And if he loved the subject, we don't say he for an unknown gender. So you're saying a child. It could be male or female. It could be a boy or a girl. So without specifically talking about, one of those genders, we would say they, not he. And if they love the subject, then for higher education also. So why, if they love the subject, they'll study it as part of their higher education. What's the benefit of that? So I think you're on the right track. You're starting to consider what are the consequences of studying it, but it's not necessarily a good thing if they studied it in higher education. They might study history for 4 years and then, it's no benefit to them. So just consider more specifically the benefit. So after they study it in a higher education, what's the benefit from there? Tomorrow at which time, please? Calcium, that's my live feedback lessons. So if you sign up for those, just click on the link and sign up. You'll see the times there. Dominic, with the concerns about this part, is it better to have one live stream or the another time to discuss? Sorry, Dominic, I'm not sure what you mean there. Is it better to have one live stream or the another? Apologies, I'm not sure what you mean there, Dominic. If you can rephrase it, I'm happy to answer, but I'm just not clear on that one. You're very welcome. When are my classes tomorrow? So Calcium, yeah, like I said, just click there, sign up. The platform has the Zoom links and the times to join and everything. So that's all there. Okay, so going back to Maha, what would I say for this question? All right, let me just think about this. History has no benefit. So I would say these people probably think that, they're not going to make money from it. It's not going to help them get a job. They would never use it outside of the classroom, or they would never use it outside of school. It would never be something required to I've said that already. So it wouldn't help you get a job. In general, now obviously there will be some jobs that you can use it for, but I would say they're few and far between compared to being good at math or physics or something like that. So that's why they're saying it's no benefit. The other group, they think it's essential. I think we had plenty of people discuss that already. Like, let's just take big B's. They'll become well informed. And I think, like Sandy said, that they will become proud citizens. They will have pride in their country. So that's a benefit. So that's what I would say. Say the people who feel that history offers no benefit are concerned that it will not help them to find a job in the future, whereas those who feel that it's essential understand that it will help the children become well-informed people. Then my own opinion is that it is a benefit because it helps people to become proud of their country. So that's essentially, you can replace the ideas with other specific ideas. My opinion could just as easily be with in favor of the other view, but that's essentially what I would say for that. Okay. All right, Jose. Studying history, on the other hand, tends to give obsolete knowledge and ideas that usually are not applicable to the contemporary world. For example, fashion in the early centuries cannot be adopted in the 21st century. It is tagged archaic. Yeah, I think when you've gone to explain it, it's better. So is this like this part here? Ideas that usually are not applicable to the contemporary world. That's a good main idea. So, if you're studying about, what happened in the past in your country, where maybe it's, you're studying about people gaining independence, but how can you use that? Your country already has independence. I mean, there's for and against that. I'm not saying that's my opinion. Just to be clear, I don't want to get into a debate with anybody about this. And to be honest, I don't feel that strongly either way. But yeah, that does make sense. But the way you move to talking about fashion, I'm not sure. I don't see the link between those two. So, I don't like. We're not studying history to learn about fashion. We're not studying history to learn how to make clothes. So I don't see, and this is an important part. For task achievement, you need to develop your ideas to improve your task achievement score. But there's also logical progression, so that I can see the connection from why are you talking about contemporary world, and then suddenly you're talking about fashion. I don't see how that's connected. I know it might be, but from what you've written, that's not 100% clear to me. Maravik, you are very welcome. Sashintha, I do not have a sample essay, but in the Zoom lesson tomorrow, we'll put one together. We'll put one together between us. If you do need sample essays, let me just share. I have 20 sample essays here I can share with you, but read the instructions. Read the instructions about how I want you to use the sample essays, because I just know from experience, IELTS students go, they can't get enough of sample essays. But the thing is, how is a sample essay improving your ability to write an essay? Like, I don't know how to fly a plane. So actually, that's a bad example, because by watching someone fly a plane, I can kind of learn what they're doing. All right. Looking at a sample answer that's already finished is not going to help you to improve your question analysis. It's not going to help you to improve your idea generation. It might help with grammar and vocab, but there are better ways to do that. So the real benefit of a sample answer is that you can try it yourself, compare what you've done with the sample answer. So it shouldn't just be read the sample answer and you'll get better. You need to be, more actively using it in comparison to what you're doing. Okay, so here, after all that, let me just share it with you here. Sample answers. Do sample answers. Okay, so that's a link to my website. You'll find sample answers there. There are 20 of them, but like I said, don't just read them and think you're going to improve. Use them strategically. Maha, you are very welcome. And that is all we have time for today. Kamal, you're very welcome. Like I said, if you haven't already subscribed, click on the link and you'll be in my live feedback lesson tomorrow. If you want more one-on-one support instead of getting group support, being part of a group, get involved in my one-on-one feedback services. And that pretty much wraps it up for this lesson. Of course, as always, do share complete test success with any friends, colleagues, family members that are doing the IELTS test. If you're in any IELTS groups, make sure to share complete test success and get the word out there. I'm helping IELTS students and I intend continuing to do so for as long as possible. So that's it. Take care of yourselves, everyone, and I'll see you tomorrow if you're in the live feedback lessons. If not, I have the speaking live stream on Tuesday next week, the essay correction competition on Wednesday, and again, I'll be back with another task 2, same time, Thursday next week. So I'll see you in some, if not all of those. Take care of yourselves.